After 65 book reviews and stacks of tracking pages inside, my reading journal is almost complete for 2025. But there's still a little bit I want to do with it, so let's have a flip through the entire thing and add a few finishing touches too. Hi, I'm Erin, and my reading journal is my favorite of my journal lineup, but I have to admit I had a few struggles with this journal in 2025. Wow, we haven't got very far into the video and Mitsu's already here for emotional support. Thanks, buddy. I always like to start my flip through videos with a review of the journal, so this one is from Archer and Olive. It was their spring heirloom journal. I believe this was released in 2024. This was my first time ever using a square notebook, and I didn't even realize at first that it is 9 by 9 inches, which is an inch wider and taller than a standard square notebook, which is usually 8 by 8. But it got me with the embroidery. The cover is absolutely stunning. It has been a little bit clawed by my other cat, not Mitsu. Peaches thought it was a nice scratching post at one point. And if you watch my vlog series, you may already know this, but this journal also started to fall apart on me mid-year. You can't tell anymore because I performed some journal surgery and glued it back together. Kind of did my best, but this journal was slightly at risk for a minute there. I did put some stuff in it. Obviously, I've got paper and washi tape and stickers all through here, and that is naturally going to bulk up any notebook a little bit, but I don't feel like I pushed it so hard that it should have broken, but it is just a really big notebook, and I feel like the page dimensions maybe do put some more pressure on the spine than they would in an A5 or similar, so I was able to fix it. It wasn't the end of the world. I also think this closure may have had something to do with it, that maybe the elastic closure also stops things from moving around quite so much, because this is not the most secure closure for a notebook either, but I do think it's very pretty. So let's begin our flip through. I may need to relocate the Mitsu to be able to open this notebook all the way. Sorry, bud. Come here, mister. I'm sorry. I had a lovely time setting this up, this little nameplate page here, with my channel members on a live stream, and this tape is actually not just for decoration, this William Morris design over here. It's actually hiding a piece of very strong packing tape that is serving to keep the journal together up here. This was part of my surgery, my little journal revival project. I did capture that in a vlog in case you want to check it out. I am no bookbinder, so please don't necessarily take it as a tutorial. It's just what I did that seems to have gotten me through the rest of the year. Carrying on, my cover page here, this also is more about structural support than anything else. And as we go through, each of the initial and the monthly setups in this journal have their own videos, so I'll make sure all of those are linked for you in the description. They also include book reviews of each book that I read, links to the stationery that I've used, everything. So they're in a playlist too, in case you want to check that out. I'll pop that up here in the corner. It's so incredibly satisfying that my list of books read perfectly fits the number of books I actually finished. I could fit maybe one more down the bottom if it has a short title. That was just so very lucky. And you can see here where I started to get really into my fountain pens towards the September end of the year, because suddenly I'm using all sorts of different colors to write. I didn't think I would ever be into that kind of thing, but here we are. I do enjoy a different colored pen each month. This is my Page Majors book club spread, and it is so satisfying seeing a full year's worth of book covers all filled in here. This is my book club. You have to be a channel member to be part of it on the Page Majors level. There's a join link down below that you can check out in case you want to find out more about it. You'll see review pages for each of these books throughout the journal as we go through, but if you are a Page Mage, over in the Discord server, in a pinned post in our Page Majors info and announcements channel, there is a spreadsheet that has a list of every book that has ever been featured as a Page Majors book. It has who suggested it, it has an average star rating, and a general kind of tone feedback from the community review. Just a little one, just in case you're ever looking for that information, but that's for channel members only. I did manage to cross off 2 series in 2025. I finished the Cursebreaker series by Bridget Kemmerer and also the Defy the Night series by Bridget Kemmerer. I was having a Bridget Kemmerer moment. I started a couple of other series as well, and I read 1 or 2 in some others. Pals, I don't know if I'm ever going to go back and actually finish Throne of Glass. It's just so long, and I don't think I care that much about the characters. I'm sorry. I know it's beloved. I just don't know. It's not beloved by me. The release radar, I didn't find myself looking to that much. I kind of remembered the ones that I was really excited about. One of my favorite reads of the year isn't even on here, which was July for Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. I just knew it was coming. I didn't need to write it down to remember it. I don't care too much about reading new releases as soon as they come out, so that one I haven't brought with me into my next journal, which has been set up and is already on the channel if you want to check it out. I could have used the maybe next a whole lot more, but I wasn't always coming back to reference it when choosing my next reads. This is just what I call my to be read, my TBR, in case you haven't come across my terminology for it before. This feels like less pressure for me, so maybe next is my preferred title for this. I've crossed off a few books on here. This is one I'm not going to finish, so I might actually go ahead and cross it off too. Even though I didn't finish it, I don't want it on my maybe next anymore, so I'm going to just remove that one right there. Thank you very much. Truly, most of my suggestions come from you guys in the comments on my videos, so thank you so much for always recommending me wonderful books. The Hall of Fame is full. In fact, there are a couple of books from December that probably should be on this page based on my rule, which was books that get over 4 stars go on here. Swept Away by Beth O'Leary and The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O should both be on here, but there kind of isn't room, which is a good thing, right? I had such a good reading year. All of these books were above 4 stars. I don't give out flat 5-star ratings very often at all. So I'm pretty happy with that. The book bingos were easy to forget about. I'm only doing one for 2026. I just don't think I planned my page well enough to represent the books that were supposed to be tracked on the squares of the book bingo, so that's good. It helped me inform my new one. And this tracker needs a little bit of updating too. I stopped keeping up with this about September, so these top 2 rows were an overall kind of number of books read for the year. Actually, sorry, it's the top 3 rows down to 100, but I've kept a count on the far end of the bookshelf here of how many books are on it at that point. I've stamped all of these and it's 67 at the end here, and I read 65 books, so we're not going to actually need that shelf. But the ones underneath we will also use for a different kind of tracker, which I've deliberately waited until the year is over to fill out. I'm just going to refer to my stats pages to get the right information here, and I've been matching the color that I fill the books in somewhat to the color of the theme. So this little October theme here for Halloween, I completed 9 books in October. Wow, that's a strong effort for me this year. I'm going to use the dark purple for that. I probably should have checked the swatch color of this pen before I did that, because it's not super purple, is it? It's almost like a really deep gray with a touch of a purple undertone. November looked like this, and I read 4 books in November. My desk decoration is getting in my way. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just did December recently, but I've already forgotten. I'm going with this yellow accent, and I read 5 books in December. Oh, goodness me, I just realized I did the wrong color. These were supposed to be red. It looks like I can just go over it and it will be fine. Never mind, it happens. Whoopsie. 5 books for December now in the correct color. Goodness me. 3, that one I stamped a bit low. 4, and the last one. And there were 67 on the shelf, which means these 2 I'm not going to color in. Over on Storygraph and Goodreads, I'd set the goal of 60 books for myself, and I exceeded that, so that's always pretty nice. Down here though, I thought it would be interesting to do a format tracker, and for this one I'm going to stick with the 3 core colors that I used for all of the rest of this back here. This is the 192 Tombow, the N89 Grey, and the 761. And each of those are going to represent a different format. So let's just color in some of the larger books right at the end here that we definitely won't need. There are 83 books apparently across these 2 shelves. So let's do this one in green. This is going to be my key. We'll do this one in pink and this one in gray, which I find this color needs a couple of layers to really see it, which might mean I need to replace the pen. Sometimes that's the case. And I'm just going to label those. Physical, which is not a format I read very often. Audiobook, which is a format I read quite often. And ebook, which is another format that I do read quite often. Before we got started filming, I went through all of my stats pages and tallied up how many of each kind of book I read and popped it down here in my research and development notebook. So I'm just going to refer to that data to fill this out. This is really fun. I've never done a tracker with this kind of representation of something that wasn't just books per month before. 2 little physicals, all of the pink is audio, all of the green is ebook. It makes for a bookshelf that looks really nice with your theme, which I really like. I don't currently have a bookshelf tracker in my 2026 journal, but this was so much fun to fill out just now that I'm thinking maybe I should add one. Before we carry on any further, I do have some pages still left over at the end of this notebook, and we're going to jump to those at the end. I'll use these to make some full year stats and recap pages later on based off my Storygraph wrap-up, which I've gone ahead and made into stickers, along with some titles that I digitally hand-lettered myself with Procreate. I've been wanting to master Procreate, the digital art app for iPad, for several years now, so I'm making 2026 the year I dive in. I thought I'd start with something that doesn't feel too daunting to me, which is lettering. And thanks to Skillshare, today's video sponsor, I've just finished this class called Brush Lettering in Procreate for Beginners, everything you need to know, with professional calligrapher and designer Molly Suber-Thorpe. I've been taking all sorts of calligraphy classes with paper and pen on Skillshare for a few years now, so my lettering skills are decent IRL, but I decided it was time to take it digital, and it's actually wild how different it is lettering on a screen with a digital brush. You really have to be consistent and super purposeful with your pen pressure, but Molly supplies the Procreate brush preset, the practice grid to help you nail the letter sizes and slope, and a full alphabet of lovely flourished modern letters to follow along with, which I found so helpful. And of course, there's the handy undo feature, which lettering with a pen on paper simply cannot offer. Skillshare is the place to learn online for creative souls, whether you're a pro, a hobbyist, or somewhere in between. On Skillshare, you're learning real skills and getting real feedback on your work from world-class creative pros and entrepreneurs. If you're looking in 2026 to swap your nightly brain rot scroll for a new hobby or get back to an old one, Skillshare and its incredible teachers are here to help you reconnect with your creativity. The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. You'll get to see these in action soon. This one was also a blank page that I figured maybe if I needed some overflow for this tracker, it could go here, or if I thought of something else I needed. These ones also over here were left blank and waiting for their purpose. Those ones found a purpose. This one didn't. I'm okay with there just being a blank page in the journal. That is totally fine for me. These two ended up being did not finish and on hold pages respectively. I was one of those childhood avid readers who kind of lost touch with reading for a while and came back to it in my adult years. I think it was 2017 I picked up reading again, and since then I had never had cause to put a book on hold. I would kind of almost finish everything I started or decide just simply not to finish it. But in 2025 I had 4 instances where I wanted to put a book on hold. First being Kingdom of Ash, The Last of the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I started reading it. It's so dauntingly long. I was listening to the audiobook, even sped up. I was like, I don't know about this, pals. I think I'd rather read something I'm excited about. So I put it on hold. It may never come off hold. It might end up just being a flat out DNF. But for now it's on hold. Unfortunately, likewise with Crescent City, the first book, House of Earth and Blood, I started that one and was like, what is this? I actually started on ebook, switched to audio, and then was like, I don't know, pal. So I put that one on hold too. I know people love these books. I think, I don't want to say for sure, but I'm almost certain that those two will never come off hold and they are just DNFs. But for now, I'm going to leave them there. These two, I put on hold because I was pausing them for my book challenge in October. I ran a book challenge called the Bewitched Book Challenge. You'll see more about it when we get to October in the spreads back here. I really wanted to read spooky season books, and these two were not quite hitting, and I'd started both of them in September. So those ones went on hold. This one I ended up finishing. This one became a DNF, unfortunately. And the rest of these also are books that I did not finish. I've popped down a note about what percentage I got to and the reason. Some of them were just not a good time, and this one was just a case of it not really being the right time for me to read it. I do really like the Murderbot Diaries series, but I just couldn't concentrate it. And so actually, I suppose technically that could be put on hold, but I'd have to start it again because I don't remember anything that happened. And now we're finally into some of the monthly tracking pages. We're into January here. I had come into this notebook from a B5 size, and I was doing this kind of dashboard situation for each month. And so I just kind of carried over what I had already been doing. It worked okay. Once I realized later on in the notebook that I wasn't going to be using up all of the pages the way I did last year because I was reading less overall, I started started spreading this out over a few pages. If I didn't have the greatest time with a book, or if I don't feel like I have the right stationery to give it a full decorated page like this, I will do this more minimal style of review page here, which is great because it fits 2 to a spread. Again, at this point, I really thought I might have been reading more in the year than I ended up actually reading. I feel like my tastes actually changed a little bit over the course of this year, or maybe I just further refined what I actually like in a book, because some of the stuff that I have previously really enjoyed in similar genres and similar styles of story were just not holding my attention so much in 2025. I'm going to keep saying this year and last year and probably be referring to the wrong year. Sorry about that. I'm still getting used to the fact that it's 2026. That's such a cute theme. I really like that theme. There was a lot of magic in the books I read in 2025 though, so that's always a great thing. And this one has actually inspired a potential stop on a potential upcoming holiday. Goodness me, but this black washi tape gets a workout in the reading journal. It's so good for fantasy. Can we just shout out one of 2 5-star reads of the year, and quite early in the year too. That was a February read, First Time Caller by BK Borison. Can't wait for the follow-up coming in February. We've got a bit of March going on here. My first foray into Greek mythology retellings. I also spent some of 2025 trying out books from book subscription services, and it was kind of fun to include if there was a little note that went along with it, to add that into the journal too. I had an okay time with the books from this one from BookBox. Obviously I have a video about my experience too, but this one changed my life. Having subscribed to that BookBox for 3, I think I ended up doing 4 months actually. It was worth it to introduce me to this author. Bridget Camera was hands down my favorite author that I discovered in 2025. This April theme was very much inspired by having just read Anne of Green Gables over here. This journal is so massive. In some ways it was really fun because I could use rather large decorative elements and still have enough room left over to add a book review in between. But in other ways it was a bit daunting because it's a lot of page space to fill. I have slightly less page surface area in the B5 that I've moved into, and it already feels like a relief. Shout out to the Goober Book Club. Looking forward to the Goober Readathon in May again in 2026. Also doing the Year of Goober Challenge. I think we're halfway through January already, kind of, and I haven't really started yet, but I have it in my journal, so it's going to be fine. The first appearance of a non-fiction book. I think I read 2 non-fiction books in 2025, which was 2 more than I read in 2024. Progress, right? What a fun theme. Academia, darling. Oh, I do not hear enough people talking about this book. This is such a lovely story. The Hedge Witch of Foxhall by Anna Bright. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited. I read this one, when are we? June? Still thinking about it. It's a gorgeous Welsh-influenced fantasy story. So cozy, so lovely, so sweet. Entirely recommend. Catch me reading all 3 books in a series, somewhat back to back. I don't do that very often. I usually like to leave a bit of breathing room in between stories that are part of a series, but in that case, Bridget Camera, she does it to me every time. I have to try some of her romance because I've only read her fantasy stories so far. Mid-year we did a little reading stats check-in. This is somewhat similar to what we're going to be doing at the end as well, except much more in-depth. Oh, what a cozy theme. Because I live in the Southern Hemisphere, this is very appropriate for July. For us, that is winter for us down under. Gorgeous book, please read it. It's wonderful. Over here for Ready or Not, I accidentally forgot to include my peach rating scale over there. This is my book rating system in case you're not familiar. I have a video about it that I will have linked down below and up here in the corner. If you've come across the core pile rating system, it's very similar because it's somewhat based on it, but it's just a little bit more simple and straightforward. And it gives you an extra category. The H here stands for heart, which is that esoteric, like this book just hit me at the right time, I couldn't stop thinking about it kind of category. Like sometimes you can have an incredible time with a book that's not written all that well, or that doesn't have a fantastic plot, but like you feel like in your heart it needs more stars. So that's my system to ensure that the book has a bit of an emotional category to rate it on, as well as the technical things. Right now I'm reading the 3rd book in this series, and this is one of our Page Majors reads for 2025. Got me hooked enough to want to continue the series, which is always a good thing. Hard into the waterfall tabs for my beginning of the month tracking pages now, because I'm realizing that I'm not just in a slump of reading less books. I averaged out to sort of like 4 or 5 a month, I think, in 2025, whereas in 2024, I was reading like 8 to 9 most months. So I knew I could use up a bit more paper at this point, which is also a little daunting sometimes, because then you've got to fill 3 spreads instead of just 1 with the same data, but I also have plenty of stationery to be getting on with, so I would just use more of it, you know, make the tabs wider. Instant extra decoration, off you go. On the whole, I'd say it was a pretty good reading year for me, and being that we're in the September reads at this point as well, something that I noticed myself gravitating towards as we got later into the year was reading more with my eyes and a little bit less with my ears. I love an audiobook, and they are absolutely a valid way to read. You will never hear me saying audiobooks aren't reading. They are. I know some folks disagree, but I was having some trouble with attention span things, and like ear exhaustion is a thing. Musicians would know what I mean. And I found myself just enjoying reading with my eyes a little bit more. So there is a trend towards more ebooks and less audiobooks as we get further into the year, which I'm totally okay with. It does take me a bit longer to read a book with my eyes, but lately I have found that I absorb the information better that way. It wasn't the case previously. I'm hoping that I'm just in a little bit of burnout and I can come back from that in the future. Because it's great to listen to a book. It's so convenient in the car, while you do your dishes, while you fold your laundry. What could be better? It was such a good year. We got 2 BK Borison books. That made me really happy. And we had so many really thoughtful suggestions for the Page Majors Book Club too, which was also a really wonderful thing. Wow, she really went maximalist for December, didn't she? She being me. What a strange way to refer to yourself in the third person. Only a couple of pages left, some book reviews here. These ones are quite recent, very fresh in my mind. And so, after Under the Mistletoe, we reach our blank spreads, and this is where the stats are gonna go. At some point in that flip through, I have ended up with an imprint of my star rating stamp on my thumb, and I don't know how that happened. Where did this come from? As I mentioned earlier, I've gone through my stats with Storygraph. If that means nothing to you, Storygraph is the app I use to track my reading. It's a free app. There is a paid version to it. You don't need that. If you just update your reads every time you start and finish a book and make sure that you're using the correct edition, so this is the digital, because I'm reading the ebook, you could switch it around if you were reading a different format. It will delightfully spit out all of these statistics for you at the end of the year, but also at the end of every month. And that's how I got all the stats for the stats pages each month back here. They send you a notification when your stats are ready, and you can view them on mobile and also in browser. I've gone through and screenshotted the browser ones, pulled them into Cricut Design Space, and just made them into little kiss cut stickers like this, so it's very easy for me to pop them on the page. And with my headings, I've also gone through and divided things into sections. So there's our overall 2025 reading wrap up heading over here that's just general, but I've also divided it into some other little sections too, because I wanted to make these big enough to be readable. And I've got plenty of pages left at the end here, so why not fill up a few of them? I referred back to my pages at the beginning of the journal, and I've grabbed out all of these tapes, most of which I used in those beginning setup pages. I'm going to use them again to add some extra decoration, some layers here, so that all those stats have something pretty to hang out with. My first step is just going to be to decorate this spread in whatever way feels good. It doesn't really matter too much where I'm placing things because I'm going to be layering stickers over the top of quite a bit of this spread anyway. This particular script washi tape layers really wonderfully for this kind of thing, so it's my first port of call. This particular script washi tape is from paper Monogatari, but Journal Say do have a very similar one. My aim here is just to make sure that I have some of each of my theme colors represented before I go in and start adding all of my stat stickers. This little bookshelf washi tape I'm about to lay down at the top and bottom here is from Bloomsicle Paper Co. They're an Australian stationery brand, and it is one of my favourite tapes I've ever owned. Unfortunately, they're not making this particular design anymore. It was part of their Duchess library set, which is no longer on the website. But I thought it was worth mentioning that there's usually a bookshelf washi tape very similar to this one, just in different colours, included in almost every release that Bloomsicle Paper Co. come out with. So if you fell in love with that washi tape and you're really sad to hear it's not available anymore, just have a scroll through the washi tape section of their website. I can almost guarantee you'll find one that you potentially even like more. This washi tape in the centre of the spread is from London Gifties. This one is called Dreamy Succulents. Wow, lots of indie stationery companies going on in the reading journal for this setup. That's kind of exciting actually. And this lovely PET tape is from Notebook Therapy. This one you can still get. It's part of their Hinoki Into the Library washi tape set. It's a set of 3. Notebook Therapy washi tape sets are not cheap, but I've used this one quite a bit, so I do recommend it, except for the fact it's not a pre-cut PET tape, so you have to cut all of the designs out yourself if you want to use them individually, but the end result I think is worth it. It has a bit of a holographic foil reflection. It's matte, which is very nice for PET tape. It kind of blends in with your page, but the shiny bits are still shiny. It's a really nice combination. I've tried to link to as much of what I can from these spreads in the description down below, but it's a little bit tricky in this case, so my apologies if there's something here that you love that you can't get anymore. Let's finally get into these reading stats. So I'll talk you through all of the stats here as I put them down on the spreads. This first spread here is kind of a general overview of my reading stats, and the others later on are kind of categorized. In 2025, I finished 65 books across 11,060 pages and 485.47 hours. By far, the genre I spent the most time with in 2025 was fantasy. The green line at the top of that graph on the right page sits somewhere around 37 books from what I can tell, followed by romance, contemporary, young adult, and LGBTQIA+. Since my reading goal was 60 books, I met it and exceeded it by a little bit, so I apparently reached 108% of my goal. The average length of the books I read was 381 pages, and it took me around 9 days to finish each book. Of the 65 books that I finished, 34 of them were part of a series. Only one of them was a reread. 15 of them I owned in some way, whether that's buying the ebook, which I guess isn't technically owning, it's kind of a long-term license, and a couple of them were physical books too, although I read some of the physical books in other formats just because I don't love reading physical books. Over the course of the year, I explored the work of 38 authors whose works I had not read before. And Storygraph gave me these couple of lines on my reading to describe, I guess, the kind of books that I choose. It says, "You felt every heartbeat on the page, chased horizons and daring escapades, and drifted through breezy feel-good reads. A steady rhythm of stories kept the year moving along nicely." Once I have all of my stat stickers down on the spread, I'm just going to fill in the gaps with some more washi tape and PET tape sections, and then we'll move on to our next stat spread. Category of my reading stats I'm calling This and That, because it's the kind of category that compares one part of your reading to something else. For instance, the book that you spent the most time on versus spent the least time on, the longest book, the shortest book, the first and last books that you read for the year. And I'm introducing a washi tape, actually a PET tape here on this spread that I didn't use on the previous one, but I did use quite a bit at the beginning of the journal. It's this one, this beautiful stained glass rose kind of Beauty and the Beast thing. This one was from the 2023 Notebook Therapy Lucky Bag. I actually didn't get that bag, but my friend Judy did, and she said she wasn't using this tape, so she ended up giving it to me, and I am going to finish it in this setup for my reading stats, which is really sad. I've loved it so much, but also it feels good to finish a washi tape roll. It's a nice feeling. Once again, my decoration is quite haphazard. I'm just sort of throwing things down on the page in some sort of configuration so that they'll peek through once I add all of my stats stickers on top. And if you have very sharp, keen eyes, you might notice with the stickers that I've made for myself here, my Cricut needs to be calibrated. Some of these cuts are really off, especially noticeable on the titles. I think it's less noticeable on the stats stickers because they're just kind of a box around some white that's a little bit harder to see when it's off, but the headers, I think it's quite obvious that it wasn't cutting in the right place, so I'm gonna have to calibrate my Cricut this week, I think. The very first book that I finished in 2025 was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. That's one of the Throne of Glass books, and the last book I finished was our Page Majors read for December. It was The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O. The shortest book I read was Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood at 4 hours and 24 minutes in the audiobook, and the longest book I read was Quicksilver by Callie Hart, which was 670 pages. The book I spent the most time on was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, the third installment in the Empyrean series. It took me 29 days to get through that one, and the book I spent the least amount of time with was A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher, which I finished in 2 days. The other 3 stats on this spread are comparing my reading habits to those of other Storygraph users. So the book that was the highest rated on Storygraph that I read was Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Storygraph users rated it an average of 5.43, my rating was 4 stars. The book I read in 2025 that was the most shelved by Storygraph users, i.e. also read by the most other people, was The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This one was shelved by a whopping 525,228 Storygraph users. And the book I read that was the least shelved by other Storygraph users was The Travelling Tea Shop by Belinda Jones, which was shelved by only 619 other Storygraph users. All of the Storygraph stats I've shown you so far have been free ones, but I have got 2 graphs on this next page. This is all about graphs, this one, that are custom graphs that I made by signing up to Storygraph's paid version. And those are the 2 in the top left corner there. So the top one is book subscription box reads. For a total of 7 books, it would be 9 except I DNF'd 2 of them. And the graph just underneath that is the source of the books I read. So those are color-coded. The yellow is Audible credits. The teal kind of seafoam color in the middle is library, which is so wonderful that that's my biggest category. And purple is purchased. The horizontal bar graph in the middle there is the authors I spent the most time with in 2025. Bridget Kemmerer is at the top by far with 7 books, followed by Ali Hazelwood with 3 and Tracy Dion with 2. The graph just above that one is a very complicated one. It plots books read, pages read, and minutes listened across the course of the whole year. It's probably not super accurate for me because I don't always update my progress when I have a reading session, so to speak, but it's an interesting one to look at all the same. And the chart down the bottom is a really interesting one too. It is a mood map of my reading over the course of the year, so the lighter the book, the higher the line. Apparently I started pretty dark and things really went up from there. That's it for graphs, so let's move on to ratings on the facing page. This little bar chart has all of the book ratings and how many books I rated what, and my highest rated there was the 4-star category. My 2025 average rating overall was 3.87 stars. Storygraph allows quarter-star ratings, which I really like about it, and I almost never give out 5-star scores to books, but I did have 3 in 2025 that got perfect 5 stars. They were these 3. First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, Forging Silver into Stars by Bridget Kemmerer, and Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. June was my highest rated month of the year with an average of 4.25 stars. January had my lowest average rating for a month, which was 3.44 stars. And I actually meant to separate this stat out. I forgot to remove it. It was part of the same screenshot, but March was the month where I read the most with 1,479 pages. I've included this one on this spread because I think it's relevant to ratings, even though it could probably go in the general, but I decided to DNF 9 books this year. I don't give them a rating when I DNF a book, but I think it's kind of the equivalent of a 0, right? So I thought it should go here. And then there's only 1 page left to work on, and this one isn't technically a reading stat, but as part of your wrap-up with Storygraph, they send you this excellent graphic that is a collage of all of your reads for the year, and I love having book covers in my journal, so I thought this is an opportunity I can't pass up. They're quite a bit smaller than the sizes I usually make my book covers in my reading journal, and my own tracker for the books that I read in 2026 is going to kind of do this for me anyway. And the graphic is actually just one long narrow strip of all of the book covers. I had to edit it to make sure that it would fit on a page, so I pulled it into Photoshop and just moved things around a little bit. But this does feel like a really appropriate final page in my reading journal as I say farewell to my reads of 2025 and look towards the new year. I'm also saying farewell to this beautiful PET tape. This is the very last piece of it. Thank you for serving me so well in my reading journal. I'm going to finish off the page by decorating all of the empty spaces with what I've got left over, my offcuts of all of these PET tapes. And I have a question for you. What do you do with your archived journals? What do you do with a notebook once you finish with it? I have a cupboard that all of mine go into, and I can pull them out for reference if I need to at any time, but it's getting pretty full, and I just don't know if maybe it's time for me to let go of some of my older ones, or should I keep them forever? I don't know. Let's have a little flip through of my stats page pages now that they are all complete. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading journal wrap-up. I hope you've enjoyed getting a peek at the entire notebook start to finish, and I hope you'll join me for some more reading adventures in 2026 as well. I'm going to tie up the ribbons on this notebook for the last time as an active notebook, and hope that it finds it really comfortable in my filled notebook cupboard. My 2026 reading journal is already underway, so if you'd like to see the books that I read in December and how I'm setting up my tracking pages in the new year, that video is linked for you here, as well as the playlist of everything I read in 2025.